Tonight, I'm rolling with the Beard. Kory joins me, and we discuss our top 10 board games that must be sleeved. You look at my list.
No, I don't care.
Nah. Well, maybe I care.
Nah, bro.
Nah, bro. All right, so tonight, I'm rolling with the Beard. Kory joins me, and we discuss our top 10 games that must be sleeved.
Must. Kind of musty.
Number 10. Would you like to start with your
Sure.
number 10?
My number 10 is a classic starter game if you're not into board games, and it is Ticket to Ride. So I think this game is great for people who are just trying to get into board games. You're basically building, railroads amongst these cards, and if you play with a lot of people, you're going to be shuffling those cards quite a bit. So I think it's a must sleeve if you're wanting to hold on to the game, and it's surprisingly not cheap. It's probably like $30-$35, I think.
For all those hollow plastic trays.
So I was thinking through, and I was quite surprised that that one made the list. So, and I guess we can talk about that, how you came about your list, but go with your number 10 first.
My number 10 is a new game that came out that falls under the category of the new combination of worker placement and deck building, Lost Ruins of Arnak. I feel like this game could use the sleeved cards because you start off with only, I believe it's 8 cards, maybe 10 at the most, and you don't buy a whole lot of cards during the game, and you just shuffle. A lot of shuffling.
Yeah, that's that's how you kill the cards. There's a lot of shuffling. So with you there, I guess when we talk about the list, when I was going through it, I was trying to think about value in the games, but also frequency of use, right? Mm-hmm. So, certain games you'll play more than others because of the time it takes, but then it also deteriorates. So you gotta, in my opinion, go through that. So I don't know what your thoughts were on making the list.
Similar thoughts. I also took in consideration how vital it is being able to identify a card to damage or wear on it prior to drawing the card from a deck or your own personal deck.
Gotcha.
So
yeah. You're afraid of marked cards or things like that?
Yes. I have a fear of marked cards, and then this will come up later on in my list.
Okay.
I once witnessed something so horrifying.
I have one game that I grew up playing. It didn't even make my list, but there was only one card, and the reason it didn't because there's only one card in the game that would actually ruin somebody else's strategy. It's Risk 2210, and there's a card called Land Death Trap where it would basically annihilate half the other person's army while they're invading.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was just if they had that card, it was pretty much just. You're not going to invade me. So.
That sounds like some solid game design.
Yeah.
Number 9. My number 9 is a 2-player only card game, kind of deck builder, kind of abstract area control-ish with a lot of theme that they managed to pump into that. It is Osprey Games' Undaunted. For the components that you get, I feel like it's kind of expensive, in the $40 price range. And there's not a whole lot of cards, so I would suggest investing the $3, maybe 2 packs of sleeves, $6 that it costs to sleeve it. But there's a lot of shuffling in that as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like the card quality in that game is good, but they're the kind of thicker, overly thick cards that don't shuffle well.
Yeah. Sleeves make it shuffle easier, probably.
Mm-hmm. And thicker isn't always better.
My number 9 is Brass Birmingham. I think those games are really high quality games. They're not cheap, and you do some shuffling with it, mostly at the beginning, but then you do a lot of you get a lot of hands and grease and oil on them. So I think if it's a high quality game like that, you want to definitely sleeve those just to preserve for a long time. And it gets more and more too as we go down our list too.
Number 8. My number 8 could be one of two games. It's a hit and roll game. Bang the dice game and bang the card game. I feel that is just the game should come with sleeves, at least for the characters, because if you can see who the deputy is, it ruins everything, like 100%. The only reason it's so low on my list is because it's cheap.
Yeah.
Like $15 or something. What is that? A little bit more than a deck of Uno cards or something.
Yeah.
You instead of getting phase 10 and Uno, you could get a real game like Bang.
Yeah. I'm with you there. It made my honorable mention list, but it is. I think I've had my Bang deck since 2008, so maybe 7. So. In the box all torn to shreds, and the cards are, they look like they've been drugged down the street. They've been wet a few times, I think. So the marked cards definitely comes into play. So that's definitely a game because you are constantly shuffling and dealing out cards, and it's a great game, but definitely something a must. So.
If I recall correctly, the Bang the card game, at least the cards on those have a white border.
They do.
So it hides the wear. Yeah. And I think Bang the dice game, the cards are a full bleed. The art goes all the way off. So sleeve up.
My number 8 is a 2-player game. It was,
I know what it is.
Do you?
I think so.
It's a really great game, and I think it's something that can be played over and over and over. So enjoyable, so many different strategies. It's dual.
Yeah.
And the cards, I think, do better being sleeved, especially with shuffling and then stacking on top of each other because you create the pyramid or inverse pyramids. I think it's a must sleeve because the frequency of play. It's not real expensive. I would call it like on the cheaper side. It's probably $25, which ain't too bad. But I think it's just a great game that you would want to play over and over. So it's definitely a must sleeve for me.
Mm-hmm. I concur. Speaking of honorable mentions, I thought about throwing Concordia on there.
That's another one I thought about too. Yeah.
And Wildlands. Have you played Wildlands?
I haven't played Wildlands.
It comes with the half-size cards, and they're super thick. They're like comedically thick, and you cannot shuffle them.
Like codename size cards?
No, like the half-size, like the tiny.
Oh,
cards.
the real. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you just can't shuffle them. But you only use them once, and it's for starting positions in the game. But there's 30 of them or so.
You gotta shuffle these.
Yeah, it's just you might as well like a deck of Magic cards.
Yeah.
Which I didn't put Magic on here because I feel like it doesn't quite fit the category. But if you have $200-300 in a Magic deck or more, sleeve up.
Yeah, sleeve up. The other thing, I mean, that's a good point when you're making about the thickness of that. I was thinking like, do they make or could they make tile sleeves? So those games that you play frequently where the tile edges peel up like King Domino or Isle of Skye or your Carcassonne or whatever, like those games, because you play those a lot because they're quicker, but I don't know if they can make like a thicker sleeve for that where it would be able to shuffle better too, because shuffling tiles is a mess.
Yes, that's why you use Crown Royal bags.
Yeah.
You just throw them in there. And I've heard of people spraying tiles or components with clear coat.
Okay. That would work.
You should try it with one of your games.
Yeah, one of my games. You got the lacquer?
Yeah, it's in the garage. We'll just pop open one of your new games and we'll spray it. I'll do that for you.
No, thanks.
Yes.
Number 7.
My number 7, probably one of my top favorite games. It's, I think, one of those games where it's a longer game, very enjoyable. You don't mind playing it anytime you take it out, which gets it a lot of play. Is Terraforming Mars. Now, I think you're holding the cards a lot, so that can cause just more grime and wear on it. But you don't do a lot of shuffling other than in the game. But I do think we know somebody that has ruined their deck.
Yep.
But they've also played it, probably 400 or 500 times. But I think it's a great game. It does cost a little bit. It's probably in the $55-$60 range retail.
If it wasn't such a good game,
Yeah.
I would just
You probably
be
wouldn't sleeve
upset
it.
with the cost of that
Right,
game.
right. I think it's just one of those games because of that high return on value and such a good game that it's really a must sleeve.
My number 7 is similar to Dominion, but with a little more forced player conflict. My number 7 is Arctic Scavengers, and I have not sleeved my copy of it, but it's seen enough play now that I regret not sleeving it because there are some cards that you can tell what's somebody saved for the skirmish at the end. You're like, oh, I'm not saving anything for that skirmish because not gonna win it.
Going down.
Yeah,
going down.
Going down hard.
Yeah.
Number 7, Arctic Scavengers.
Number 6.
My number 6 is a goofy little game that I picked up at Origins a couple years ago, and I believe we opened it up at one of the tables there, and it was a long day of gaming, and my number 6 is Ink and Gold. And I remember opening it, being so excited, I scored a great deal on it, and I go to shuffle them, and the cards in that game, for whatever reason, just wasn't shuffling that well, and immediately bent like 3 of the cards when trying to shuffle, and 2 of them I think were like matching snake cards, so it like completely just poofed all over the game. Yeah. So my number 7 is Ink and Gold, which I do have them sleeved now that the game's been played a lot and all the cards are bent and damaged. So even though you can tell it was a bent or damaged card, there's so many of them that are bent and damaged. So it's either a snake or it's like 17 gold. Maybe it's an artifact. I don't know.
Could be bad, could be good.
Yeah, could be bad, could be good. So.
I remember that. That was fun. My number 6 is a game you own, and most of the games on my list are the ones I own, but I think this is a good game. It's a deck builder. You're doing a lot of shuffling. It's Taverns of Titanfall. So that was a game that, in my mind, should be sleeved because you're constantly adding cards to it and shuffling and pulling them out. It's the more play. I think you could probably see which ones are going to come up. You're like, oh, I got a number 4 coming up, so
Enter the dishwasher.
yeah, and you can start to strategize on how you want to make certain dice placement and things like that. So that's my number 6.
That almost made my list. The only reason I didn't put it on my list is the cards have a white border around them, and even though they are the half-size cards, they're a thin material with the linen type finish on it, and they do for the type of card they shuffle very well.
I found that the linen type finishes are the best. It's more like your bicycle card decks.
Yes.
They hold up much better than the
patented
others. Yeah,
air cushion.
Exactly.
Number 5.
So my number 5 is one of the top games in the past few years. I love playing the game, played a lot. High quality pieces, high quality cards. It's a must sleeve for me just because I think it's a game we'll play forever.
Rattle Bones?
No, it's Wingspan. I really enjoy Wingspan. It's more for the bird cards, not the bonus cards. But the cards are really high quality. I think the art on them and everything on there, you don't really want to get anything messed up on the cards, in my opinion. And you're doing a lot of playing from your hand, so whether it is grabbing, taking, shuffling, or whatever, I think that's a high quality game, and it's not cheap. It's probably $55-$60. So that's a game you want to definitely play for long term.
Yep. My number 5 is Dune Imperium.
Dune Imperium.
Yeah. Part of it could be because I've had a heck of a time getting a copy of it, and it is a deck builder, worker placement. I want to say it's very similar to Lost Ruins of Arnak, but there's a fantastic mechanism of like these skirmishes, conflicts that happen at the end of each round, and that is part of the reason that I sleeve the cards, because there's these half-size cards that set up the bonus or the perk that you're going to get for each combat round or conflict round. And if you were to be able to see like, oh, the next one coming up is 2 victory points when you're playing a game that 10 victory points gets you the win, you know, I'm just going to Guernsey all my guys and save them for next round and then just slide them all in there. But also with the deck builder aspect, everyone starts with the same 10 cards that they're constantly shuffling.
Yeah.
So they get wore down pretty quick. And that game, if I recall, has black borders around the cards, which aesthetically I think is the best. It looks fantastic. But actual wear, not so much.
Yeah. Black borders look sharp on the cards.
They
really
do.
Yeah.
Wow, crisp.
Number 4.
My number 4 is a game that everybody loves and plays, and it's perfect for what's going on right now with COVID. Pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Not a truly expensive game. I'd say it's what, $30-$35, somewhere around there.
Yeah, sometimes you can snag it on the Amazons for 23 or something.
And it kind of is applicable to legacy games, so pandemic legacy games as well. But the reason this one's on there is because of you mark a card in the infection deck. It's pretty much like you know what's going to happen, so you can help strategize your plan. And you know, one quiet night, you know, and no infection rate comes, you know, because you know that Shanghai card is going to outbreak, and you see that marked card, it's going to be, you know, a game changer. So I think Pandemic is a must when it comes to at least the infection deck. You don't need to do it for the player deck.
My number 4 is a 2-player only deck builder. The only reason this game is on my list is I played my copy of it so much that the cards started to deteriorate so much so that I found some printed sleeves so I could stick the cards in them so that way you couldn't tell what was what, and that is Star Realms.
Mm-hmm.
There was an awesome deal on, I hate to keep promoting Amazon, but there was a great deal on like a printed like big box that had printed sleeves in it, and it was enough sleeves for like the base set and one of the federations or something as well.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. It even comes with little tab dividers that are printed with Star Realms art and stuff on it.
That's good then. I mean, it always makes it more thematic, or, you know, engaging in the game, I guess, you know, because you don't lose that backing.
And I like that the back of the printed sleeves is the back of the original cards.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it just scratches my itch.
You have a lot of itches to scratch.
A lot of itches to scratch. A lot of surface area. Ooh.
Number 3.
My number 3 is a hidden role, hidden identity game. And the first time I played this game was at Mike's house during a barbecue, and to my horror, I witnessed one of his guests slide their roll card through a water ring left from a drink. And as soon as I purchased this game, I sleeved it before anyone played it. My number 3?
Yep.
My number 3 is Secret Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after seeing that, I'm like, what if that roll card was Hitler? The game's useless now. Or I guess you could get some, like, ugly, you know, solid colored sleeves to just put the rolls in. But, man, that game could be ruined so quick if something happens to a handful of the cards. Even the voting cards, you don't want your yay or nay to, like, 9 to, you know, oh, here's my obvious 9 card that I'm voting this down.
It's like any other game, a social deduction game, you know, coup or resistance or things like that, you know.
The price that you pay for that game, they should have gave you little plastic. It should have came with sleeves at the least.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great game. It does cost a little bit more than your other social deductions, and I guess it's because of the quality of the other fascist and liberal pieces, but it's not really top end, I would say. So.
In the box shape? Come on.
Yeah.
It was like it was designed by Hitler himself. I mean, you could fit that in the Avalon or Resistance box.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Secret Hitler.
Secret Hitler. My number 3 is a game I don't own, but I played it a ton. It was one of the first deck builders to ever come out and kind of like introduce that. Is Dominion and all Dominions. They come out with a bunch of different versions. But that's a game where you're doing constant shuffling, adding new cards, shuffling again, and you're just going through your deck as fast as possible, really. So it's all hands on deck. So I would say.
Nice.
But that's definitely a must sleeve if I was to own it, which I don't. But
You don't own Dominion?
I don't own any Dominion.
That's insane.
Yeah, I was playing games growing up around people that bought a lot of these games, so it was like kind of why do I need to own it? And then I played it so much I was like, I'm okay, I'm done playing it. So
I thought I was that way until somebody informed me that there's a free version of Dominion online,
oh, I didn't know that.
and it is so awesome.
Probably makes it so much faster
It
shuffling
does,
and everything.
and you can play it for free online with other people, and you make like your own account, so we could play Dominion online. You can only use the base deck unless you subscribe to it, and I think it's only like $2 or $3 a month,
Yeah,
which
not bad.
can add up. But speaking of subscribe, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button.
Don't forget to comment.
Number 2.
So my number 2 is popular game, top 10, really fun one. It's deals with cows. Everybody loves a cow. Great Western Trail.
Yeah.
Not a cheap game. Wasn't easy to get for the longest time.
Nope.
And you are shuffling your cows all over the place. So I definitely think it'll make a big difference when you're shuffling those cows and you're like, oh, I
Got a trash Guernsey coming up.
Gotta know what I
Stupid
need.
Guernsey.
Yeah, so you're like, where do I go? What actions do I take? Those mark cards really can come into play. So I think that's a game that is a must sleeve.
Absolutely. My number 2 is Great Western Trail. Crossover! First crossover. Yeah, for all the reasons you listed, I got a copy from Game Nerds, which is a fantastic website. Their prices are great. Their lead time's a little behind. It's a little lacking there. But I snagged a great deal on Great Western Trail, and my copy came in, and instead of my white train piece, it's a white car.
China?
Why? Because of China. So that's weird. Number 2, Great Western Trail.
I like that.
Number 1.
So my number 1 is definitely the most expensive game on my list, by far. And it's probably almost double, at least what it was suggested retail price. Great game. I played most of it online actually, because getting a group together is tough at times. It's more dungeon crawl, continuous kind of legacy style. But you are constantly going through your deck and shuffling cards, and knowing what to draw and things like that. And then especially when it comes to enemies drawing cards too, that can be detrimental or it can be impactful to you knowing how to plan your next move, is Gloomhaven. Yeah, the Gloomhaven. That's a must leave for me.
I concur, because my number 1 is also Gloomhaven. Fantastic. As soon I don't know, but yeah, definitely. And I feel like a turd for putting this on there because I haven't played any of the campaign and have only done like the 1-up mission things, the dungeon crawls. Mostly solo, a little bit with my son, but yeah, like the design of the cards and everything, I feel like they don't shuffle well, and there could easily be wear on them. And then if you start adding those new cards into the mix, they're going to be super obvious which ones haven't been.
Yeah. Well, and the color scheme on the cards too. They're darker, so wear and tear, man. Dark colors. That's kind of it. That's number 1. 2 crossovers.
Yeah,
I'm crazy.
double crossovers.
I did not think that would happen.
Neither did I. And it was interesting that happened. In a way, kind of just... Instead of the video ending with a bang, it just kind of like, well, so's mine. Same here. Yep. You know what you should sleeve? Gloomhaven and Great Western Trail. Definitely.
Oh, man. I had Mysterium on there because of the art. You would want to preserve the art, and it's the whole card. That is the art. There's no border, no white border or anything. It's just the whole card.
Aren't those a ridiculous size? Are they
Huge.
like tarot?
Huge.
Can
Yeah,
you
they're
get sleeves?
I think you can, yeah. I think you can. They're huge, yeah. But I think the art's fantastic in that game, and it's something. Another one was Cult Express. You know, you're doing some shuffling there. And then I had San Juan. If you ever play San Juan, it's like a Puerto Rico light. You can get through games pretty quick. And the last one I had was Twilight Struggle, which we have yet to play.
Correct. And it's just sitting over there taunting.
It's such a good game.
It's not even punched yet.
Punch.
Oh yeah, I guess I do have yet another honorable mention. Cloud Age. So speaking of sleeving Alexander Pfister games, I purchased sleeves for this, assuming they would either be the weird size that Great Western Trail cards are, or the normal card size that every other game made is.
European or American?
Yeah, or the normal size that every other card game made is. And the cards are neither, I believe. They're the width of Great Western Trail cards, but they're really tall.
Like tall and skinny?
Tall and skinny. And it's a deck builder too, so everyone starts with the same 10 cards in their own color.
I don't know of a sleeve that would be like that at all.
Maybe I'll just laminate them. Then I guess I'd have to laminate all the cards.
Oh boy.
I'll let you know how that turns out. I feel like should be good.
Do you want to give an ending?
So that concludes our top 10 board games that must be sleeved. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment. If you didn't like this video, leave an even better comment. And we may read them, we may respond to them, or we will, because we're lonely and don't have anything else to do.
Definitely.
We're essentially ghosts in our own house. Thanks for watching another episode of Rolling with the Beard. Click that subscribe button and join us again. Thanks for watching. One of them, I think it was number 7, where I rolled the dice. It probably took me 10 minutes. Like, number 7, number 7, number 7, number 7, number 7.
And that's the most rolled number.
That's why I did it, is number 7. I'm like, oh, it'll take a couple tries. No.
Don't go to Vegas.
It was like a pair of the lopsided Catan dice that roll 12s all the time.